Hey guys, I'm back with you guessed it, another YouTube video. And this is another one of my parallel lines videos. And so we will just be going step by step on how I mix my colors and how I paint my parallel lines and the techniques that I use. So we'll start with step one. So if you have a misting or a spray bottle, you would just lightly spray the canvas all over. But if you don't, there's no worries. You can just get some water and a brush and just lightly glide the water on the canvas. So right here, I have my colors of blue that I'll be using. And so this time, I'll be mixing the blues for the background color. And that is step two. Now with this step, you don't need much paint because you've wet the canvas, and wetting the canvas goes a long way when you have a little paint. So it's kind of like it stretches the paint. Well, not kind of, it does stretch the paint. So it's giving like the ocean effects. Now, I wasn't particularly going for the ocean color, but the ocean is always beautiful. So you continue to paint until you don't see any white spots or the canvas is all colored. And I like to blend my colors because it gives the background a nice little effect. Now, what you do need to know is that sometimes when you're like moving the paintbrush, it can splatter. So if you can, you may want to put something up. So I like to show the contrast with the blues, so I kind of just move the paint over and then I kind of try to blend. But for this tutorial, I'm trying to show the contrast with the blues. So I'll use a little water, lighten it up a little bit in some of the areas. And the more different the background is kind of the better the actual painting is to me. Okay, so we're done with this background. I kind of like the feel of the raindrops, and so I tried to put that in the background color. But the background is solely your design. It's the way you want it to. And so then when you start the other techniques, then you'll get a chance to see. And so that is step 2. So we're done with step 2. And so now step 3 is to let it dry. So I'll give it about 20 to 30 minutes. And if you have a portable fan, that will make it dry faster. So you can always use that, and I will be using a fan. So maybe with a fan, it's probably 10 minutes shorter. So maybe 10 to 15 minutes with a fan. And so also, another thing you can do with the background, I use water to kind of make this effect, but you can also use bleach, or you can also use alcohol. Now, I wouldn't advise someone who's not familiar with working with bleach to do this technique, but if you use alcohol, it will still give you that same technique. Or you can just use water. Water is fine too. So if you want to experiment with other techniques, then you can. Be back in a jiffy. Okay, we're back with step 4, and step 4 is to see if the canvas is completely dry. So I just do the finger test, see if anything got on my hand. Nothing. Okay, we can move forward. Now, so with step 5, we start to apply the tape. Now, because I've done some different designs on here, I do want to keep the design. So when I apply the tape, I try to do it as carefully as I can so that you can still see that I have some design in the background. So we'll start at the top. And then we kind of want to keep some of the design. So I'm going to overlap the tape. And then I'll start here. So that was 1, 2. So I try to apply at least 6 pieces of tape. So then we'll overlap this again because I want to show the design. So then that will be 2. And then this will be 3. Again, I want to overlap that design, so overlap the tape so I can show the design. So then this will be 4. Now the tape doesn't need to be evenly distributed, but it's up to you. But I'm not evenly distributing it this time. So we're up to 5, and then one more is 6. So then I just change the position of the board. I'm still trying to preserve my design, my background design. So that determines where the tape goes. And so again, I've overlapped the tape to preserve the design. So now that's 3. And then this is 4. And this is 5. So now that we have our tape placed, I just turn it to the back and I start to flip the tape on the back side to make it sturdy. And that's why I like to use canvas boards. Now you can use a canvas as well, but for me, canvas boards help the most with this technique. Okay, so now that we have our tape in place, it's time for us to paint the squares. And so I still have some paint left, and so we'll start off with that. And that, my friends, is 7. Step 7. So I like to paint 2 of the box squares the same color. And don't worry about getting the paint on the tape. It's perfectly fine. Now, the paint will sometimes seep underneath the tape. And so because of that, you may have to do some damage control and just repaint it. And I'll teach you that technique when we get there. But that will be in the ending. Now this part is where the paint does splatter. So you want to have on an apron or something covering the surface of where you'll be painting, and even the wall. And this part actually is the quickest. Well, the fastest, I should say. And again, we're just gliding the paint. No particular way. Just as we just paint. We just glide in the paint. And that's why I always call this technique my fun technique. Because it's like no structure. And I like that sometimes, because sometimes you need to paint your feelings and you don't always have a structure for your feelings, and you don't always know how you're feeling. But with the paintbrush in your hand, everything just seems to start to make sense. And so we're through. We've done all of our squares. And so now we are on step 8. We made it this far. And step 8 again is the waiting game. So we're waiting until this dries, and then we'll see what we came up with. Now sometimes the square doesn't have to be a solid color. You can kind of mix the squares however you like, but for this tutorial, this is how I painted the squares. And so it's basically up to you. But if you want to follow me for this tutorial, this is how I did it. So everything is kind of in unison. So I will be back, and I'm going to let this dry. I will be back with step 9. Okay, so we're back and we're on step 9. Step 9 is the dry test. And so you just lightly touch all the spots and see if it is dry. If nothing is on your hand, then it is dry. And so now I like to turn it to the back, and I just, the flyaways that we tucked in, I just take them up because it makes it easier for you to take the tape off. So now I'm going to do this side, finish taking the tape off. And that's why I said a canvas board is easier, because it's kind of like harder for the tape to stick on and easier for it to just come right off. It's a hard surface, that's what I mean. I'm being deep thought trying to take this off. Take this off. Okay. So now we got the flyaways all off. And so we'll just pull it down from the top. And as you can see, this is an easier technique to do. Now sometimes the tape tears like so. And so you just continue to just keep pulling the tape down, because whatever you don't get, when you pull it from the other side, it takes it off. So as you can see, our design did make it. And so again, the tape has torn. So I just usually just put the tape at the bottom when I'm taking it off and put it in like a little ball. Now, because we have a few little tape residue, that's what I call it when it doesn't come off at the same time, I just take it off just like one by one. And so we're done with step 9. Just kind of getting the residue tape off. And so step 10 is optional. Step 10 is when you just put a light coating on it to kind of make the background pop out a little bit more. So we're not going to do that for this exercise, but I do want to show you the finishing product. So this would be Parallel Lines window pane, because it still has that raindrop effect that we wanted to show so much. And so we still have the raindrops there, and then we see the different colors of blue. So you see the different colors are contrasting with the background. And so this is pretty much it. You sign your name at the bottom and you are officially a Parallel Lines technician, and you are good to start making the Parallel Line series, your own Parallel Line series. And so that is it. We are done. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you with the next video with Parallel Lines. Have a good day. Bye.